Hi, it's Lee from the Japanese Water Gardens. In this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Eazy Pod Air filtration system. This is a video that I've decided to make in response to a subscriber. They said, can you make a video about the Eazy Pod Air, in particular how you connect it up to a gravity-fed filter system. So here goes, the Eazy Pod Air. So the pod will come in a large box with all the bits and pieces packed inside. It's quite a heavy lump, and if you're collecting it in a car from a store, then clear out some space first, because you're going to be surprised just how big this thing is. So now I've unpacked this thing, let's have a look at what's included. No surprise here, you get your Eazy Pod. It does come with a lid, which is really good because on the Nexus filters they don't include the lids. This little thing is quite a new addition to the Eazy Pod. It's a port ready to receive Evolution Aqua's Eazy Pod UV thing, which I'll explain about in a bit. You get your bag of K1 micromedia, which goes in the middle of your Eazy Pod for your mechanical and biological filtration. A short piece of black pipe, which is used during the cleaning cycles. An air compressor, quite a powerful air compressor. And a bag of accessories to operate the air pump. You also get a second bag for some reason of air pump accessories and instructions. There's a manual for the filter and 2 threaded hose tails. And this 3 to 4 inch reducer. Straight out the box, this thing is set up ready to be pump fed. Pump fed filter system is basically where the filter will stand higher than the water in the pond. And you place a pump in your pond, connect a piece of flexible pipe to it, that runs out to the filter system at the side, and you connect it all up using hose tails and Jubilee clips. One of the hose tails goes into the inlet of the filter, just screws in like that. And the other one is used for the dirty water discharge on the bottom of the tank. When the pump is turned on, the water is pushed up through the pipe into the filter system, goes through the filter, and then it comes cascading out of the outlet here back into your pond. You're almost certainly going to need to extend this discharge pipe, and there are a few ways that that can be done. 82mm pipe, rather conveniently, just will slot straight in, and you could glue that into there with solvent weld and that will extend it. Alternatively, you can use the rubber boot fitting that Evolution Aqua have provided you with to extend it, but do it on a 4-inch pipe. Or if you've got some 3-inch pressure fittings, they would just go on there straight back to the pond. You'd also need a UV as well. So if you're setting it up pump fed, your UV is going to go round about there somewhere. You cut the hose, connect in the UV. The Eazy Pod does come with the option of using an internal UV. And some of the models, they can be purchased with a UV unit ready installed. It's important to remember that if you're using the UV unit in here, then it can only be pump fed the filter. You can't do a gravity fed version of this filter incorporating the UV. So how do you set this thing up gravity fed? Well, gravity fed is different to pump fed. With gravity fed filter, you have a bottom drain in the pond, a pipe that goes through the base of the pond, and it enters the filter system. The filter system stands at the same level as the water in the pond, and you have a pump at the end of the filter which returns the water back to the pond, and the flow is established through the system. Before you can operate this filter gravity fed, you need to make a few modifications. I'll explain how to do that now. So let's take the top off the filter and have a quick look inside. This tray here is the pump fed overflow tray. When the K1 in the center becomes obstructed, the water level on the outside would rise up and spill over the top of the tray, bypass the filter and run straight down the discharge chute. The first thing that we need to do to convert this to gravity fed is remove half a dozen screws and get this assembly out the way. For the next bit, you're going to need an Allen key and a socket. This pipe has got to be rotated over. We need to get the short bit, which is here, inside the unit. So to do that, we're going to use the socket to undo the bracelets on the rubber boot fittings. And we're going to need this Allen key to undo some nuts that are on the bottom of the filter. It's really easy to do. The reason that we're doing this is because when this thing is operating gravity fed, we want it to be able to accommodate a variety of different water levels. Then we've got to get the overflow assembly back in place. That just slots back in. And it needs to be secured again with the screws. It's important that this is put back in, otherwise the K1 would simply spill over the discharge pipe and go straight into your pump. The next step is to modify the water inlet to the filter. For that, you're going to need a decent saw, not this saw by the way, which is rusty and old. It's a simple process. I'm not going to carry it out on this filter because it's for the shop, but you're just going to cut it off to open up the pipe to receive the bottom drain. Now there's two options for connecting onto your bottom drain. One would be to use the rubber boot fitting that Evolution Aqua have provided. That is for a 4-inch bottom drain. That would just go straight on there like that. Or if you prefer to use a 3-inch bottom drain, then you'll need to purchase a 3-inch straight connector separately. Either way, it's going to work equally as well. The difference between a 4-inch or a 3-inch bottom drain operating on an Eazy Pod is completely negligible. Once you've cut the bottom off, this plastic insert can just be dragged straight out the bottom. The reason that you can't use the UV unit in here is that the UV unit would create too much of an obstruction. It would prevent the water from getting through easily enough. It's quite important that on the inlet to the filter you install a slide valve, because without that there is no way that you can isolate your filter from the pond when you want to carry out the maintenance on the filter. Evolution Aqua don't provide the slide valve. Obviously you've got to buy the appropriate size. So now let's have a look at how you could install a pump onto this. Here's the 3-inch discharge pipe coming out, and I've used a 3 to 1.5 inch reducer, a rubber reducer. I've also installed a slide valve, which I think is important because that will allow you to isolate the filter system from the pump should you ever need to get the pump off. And to make it easy to install the pump, I'd recommend a pair of union couplings like this that can just screw straight onto your pump. That way everything's easy to maintain should you need to get that off to clean it out or service it. So the pump is going to pull the water out of the filter system and return it to the pond. On the way to the pond, the water is going to need to go through a UV. The best type of pipe work to use on a setup like this would be solvent weld pipe. If you can avoid using flexible pipe, it's a lot more reliable. Flexible pipe tends to go brittle and develop leaks over time. So before we discuss the maintenance of this filter, let's talk about this thing that Evolution Aqua provided for the drainage and the dirty water discharge. If you're going to use flexible pipe on this, then this would be the thing to use, but quite frankly it'll take you an age to drain this thing down through flexible pipe. Look how narrow that is there. A better solution would be to put in a socket with a thread on it and run it to waste using a proper solvent weld pipe, and you're not restricting the flow of water out of there. One of the most impressive features of the Eazy Pod is just how easy it is to maintain. Central to the maintenance is this air pump that Evolution Aqua provided. I'm just going to point out this European plug that it comes equipped with. A few people have been wondering, is it okay just to snip off that plug and put it on a UK plug? It certainly is. You're not going to invalidate your warranty by doing that. Before you start doing any maintenance on the Eazy Pod, you put your pipe that they provided in the center of there, and that is done so that any dirt from the cleaning cycle doesn't get sent back down the pipe to your pond. You also would turn off your pumps and your UV, etc., so that it's safe to proceed with the cleaning cycle. Now the pump then provides the power to agitate the K1 in the center of here. There's a convenient valve that they've put on there for you, and they provide all of the necessary fixtures and fittings for you to run a pipe from the pump into that. So cleaning cycle begins, and the K1 will be thrown and bubbled all around in there. All of the muck is shaken off into the water, and you let that run for a few minutes before opening up your sluice valve on the bottom, and the dirt will flow out to waste. Now Evolution Aqua do have the Eazy Pod automatic version as well. Unfortunately, the automatic version can only be operated as a pump fed filter, so running that from a bottom drain simply isn't possible. Obviously Evolution Aqua provide you with this manual, and that's going to give you a lot more information than what I ever could in this video. There was a few things that I noticed inside it though whilst I was reading it that perhaps I would suggest is a little bit inaccurate or misleading. And one of them is the recommended flow rate for the Eazy Pod, because they're suggesting that it can cope with 10,000 litres an hour. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I would suggest that the pump that operates this thing should not exceed half that, about 5,000 litres an hour. If you're pumping water through this thing really fast, most of the muck is just going to get flushed straight back into the pond. So this video's taking quite a lot longer to produce than what I'd expected. I'm going to try and edit it down to about 10 minutes in size when I get home. If you've enjoyed watching this video, then you're definitely going to enjoy some of the other videos that I've got on the channel. In particular, the ones that I shot at the beginning of this year to do with drum filters. Went into a tremendous amount of detail, how you go on and install a bottom drain, do a purge to waste. It's not just about drum filters, and you'll find a huge amount of relevant information in there as well. I'm going to say goodbye for now. I've got to get home and get this video edited, try and get it down to less than 10 minutes, and I don't think that's going to happen. Click that bell thing, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and leave some comments below. It's bye for now from Lee at the Japanese Water Gardens.